since its inception, has always had, let's say, a consciousness or an awareness of green sustainability. The latest chapter started when I arrived at the waterfront. And it was really part of when we were putting our strategy together. I think there was a very, very deep awareness and responsibility that we were custodians of this asset for future generations. So we wanted to leave it in a better position. We've got the privilege of managing a neighbourhood. So we manage the land, the building, the space, and of course the adjacent water. So there's 123 hectares. It's a very unusual situation, but it gives you an incredible opportunity. Because I think the real difference that you can make in terms of your environmental sustainability activity is when it's a holistic approach. We're not just looking at how do we efficiently run one building. We're able to say, well, let's look at all the buildings in this neighbourhood here. Let's say their energy requirements are, their hot water requirements, their cooling requirements are. So we start with making sure that we build the most green, sustainable buildings on the planet. And literally we've got 14 buildings now. We can stand tall with the greenest buildings built. Our latest venture is that we're producing a building that is 98% made out of recycled material. And even in a shopping centre, we've retrofitted things such that we've got a 5-star shopping centre, which I think is the most green, sustainable shopping centre. At the waterfront, we've got something like 800 to 900 tenants. Back in 2014, we created a green lease. Now, what that means is that the tenants are committing to a level of sustainability right from their fit out to their operational costs. We embed systems so that we can monitor on almost a real-time basis what the environmental performance of the building is. We are monitoring what each individual tenant is consuming in terms of their full carbon footprint. So that's energy consumption, water consumption, and waste consumption. And I think what's very interesting and valuable is that we're able to benchmark by sector. So we're able to say to our hotel sector, for instance, this is where you stand in relation to the benchmark. Tenants appreciate having this information and they appreciate sharing information and collectively looking at ways in which they can improve their sustainability performance. The waterfront is the waterfront because of its proximity to the ocean, and I would say it's a particular strength that again we're able to control to a degree the environment that we operate in conjunction with, for instance, the aquarium, who's got some of the best marine biologist scientists around who have a passion for marine sustainability. We've set ourselves a goal and a target to achieve carbon neutrality by 2035. In future, our developments will not just be carbon neutral, they will be regenerative, so they will actually reduce carbon footprint. We have been able to introduce quite a number of innovative practices. We set up a system, district seawater cooling, whereby we would use the icy South Atlantic Ocean to chill water and supply that kind of chilled water throughout the entire district. So it's a pioneering scheme. We've managed to reduce our overall energy consumption by 41% since we initiated that energy per square metre. We've managed to reduce our water consumption by 61%. In terms of generation of power, let's say, we will ultimately get to almost 80% of all our roofs covered in a solar panel, and that will produce something like 4 megawatts, maybe 15 to 20% of our entire energy consumption. One of the things we've been looking at is also a resilience, because I think businesses, if they're going to have a sustainability, have to have a resilience. And we have short to medium term problems with resource supply. In Cape Town we're all aware, and the Eastern Cape is aware of the water shortage, so we took a decision that we would go off-grid in terms of water. We have a proximity to the ocean. So we're going to introduce a desalination plant which will allow us to be entirely off-grid on water. Now that, with it, brings carbon footprint problems in terms of generating that water. But what we've managed to do is that we've managed to offset and compensate that. Principal offset is going to be in terms of a waste pyrolysis plant. So we generate something like 800 tonnes a month in the waterfront of waste. and we will recycle as much as we can, but that which we can't recycle we will divert from landfill and we'll put into a pyrolysis machine, which is a highly efficient combustion which produces synthetic gas which we'll use to power a turbine to produce the energy. So although we will be using a technique that is not particularly sustainable, environmentally friendly, we'll offset that by using the waste generated in the site to produce the water around the site. In addition to that, we're looking at the wastewater, and we've pioneered a unique standalone black water treatment plant that will cover maybe 10 to 15% of our black water treatment. So that means we bring all of our black water into an area, and we're using an organic food generative process, which is basically using plants and organisms which are further up the food chain to eat the bad stuff. And the exciting thing about that is that it's a modular system. It sits right in the heart of the waterfront. Because it is plant and food generative, it doesn't give off the odours and the noxious gases. And I think it's quite an exciting prospect for the future needs of small habitations and cities. Here at the tip of Africa, we're very close to the impact of climate change and global warming. So we're close to the polar ice cap melting, we're close to water shortages, we're close to climate volatility, that we knew we had to take this very, very seriously, and it became very much part of our strategy. And I think the fundamental thing was that it's embedded in the strategy of the waterfront, this awareness and consciousness of green sustainability.